Okay, thank you very much, organizers, to kind invitation to this symposium. The aim of my presentation is to convince you how important is feedback when we are thinking about physical fitness testing, monitoring, or surveillance. I will also describe later the difference among these three wording. But first, let's look at this short video. It's about SlowFit. And I can proudly say that SlowFit is probably the best fitness monitoring system in the world. That's why I will later on describe how can be fitness testing and fitness feedback information can be also provided by some other nations or communities that do not have systems like it is SlowFit. Therefore, I will actually direct you to feedback, because we are also leading this international network, and within this network we developed some, let's say, shortcuts or easier way to provide fitness monitoring. So first, I have to say that European Union, European Commission recognized us as the best system, and also awarded us with one new award actually in last year. IT service, can you hear us? No. No, there are guys over there, that's why I'm asking them.
It's presented in the
Yeah, but there is also the sound. It should be the sound. Okay, there is no sound, then I will skip this part and go to my presentation.
Zvočnik od spoda na računalniku je na tiho.
Aha. There is a... Okay, I will go with my presentation.
Svejedno, klikni dolje.
Yeah, but I
Samo
tried
klikni na
to...
njih.
Get more information, and we can adapt our practice to most recent findings. SlowFit is great because
the newly launched Be Active Across Generations Award honours projects promoting intergenerational sport, celebrating the fact that everyone can benefit from activities that improve health and well-being. The prize was first awarded to the Slovenian University of Vabljeno, whose Faculty of Sport's most outstanding project is the so-called SlowFit system.
SlowFit is actually a Slovenian national fitness monitoring system. It started back in 1982 in educational settings as a tool for PE teachers. Nowadays, it is the first lifelong physical fitness monitoring in Europe.
this project is actually going on in all schools in Slovenia, and a few years ago we extended the project to the adults and seniors also. We are a member of the SlowFit program for the last 30 years. It has a huge additional value because you know in what kind of physical conditions your students and their parents, as well as our teachers, are. I think it's important for us teachers, practitioners, to be in touch with researchers, because that way we get more information and we can adapt our practice to most recent findings.
SlowFit is great because I like the measurements. I like to look at my scores of last year and then I try to beat them.
You can always see where are you good at, and you can see where did you improve and where you didn't. For me, SlowFit is progressive. In Slovenia, we have a lot of good athletes at a really high level, so our experts will be doing something really good.
By using the My SlowFit application online, the researchers of the sports faculty can better monitor the changes in the health status of the country's population.
We have several features within this application. One part is actually for PE teachers, so they can analyze the fitness of the class. But besides of this, we have for individual users, they can see the trends of their results, and based on this, they can grant access to doctor, and doctor can see these indicators of health, as well as we are connecting them with competent providers of exercises to improve their fitness.
We think this award helps because now the Europe knows what we have, and maybe in the future we will have more opportunity to develop slow fit even further.
Okay, maybe you noticed that there were several references on the feedback actually from this system, and this is my topic actually about the feedback. So we have to be aware that the power of feedback. If you want to have more information about our system, so actually within this presentation, previous presentation, you saw that we expanded this our system from school period also to let's say working population as well as to elderly. Yes, we did this years ago, and it's described here in this paper, so you can get more information on this. But I would rather stress that actually fitness monitoring and surveillance are currently two major priorities seen by experts. This paper was published last year, and you can see that we are now discussing actually the hot topic on physical fitness. But before going further, I have to explain differences between testing, monitoring, and surveillance to know what we are talking about. So testing, this is also known as physical assessment. This is just a series of standardized exercises once, let's say, as a one-time point. But monitoring, this is more advanced, and we are struggling to have a monitoring to observe the changes within the time. So to change to see the progress of, let's say, students, and this is the aim actually within the educational setting, let's say. And the fitness surveillance is even more. It's meant to be also for decision makers, to have information on population level, information which can help support also policy making. So this is actually terms that will be used next. And why is physical fitness so important, and especially feedback from fitness important? Because if we actually convey the right message to those who were measured or monitored, we can develop or increase their physical literacy. Physical literacy will be the topic also on one keynote speaker later on the afternoon, so I will not go in depth here, but it's worth to mention that we cannot expect the lifelong effects from just to have some kind of physical fitness testing. The subject also have to have some kind of knowledge and feedback information. What next? Why is this important for them? And information provided from the monitoring is the right chance to actually pursue them about the meaningfulness, that they should have some kind of responsibility and then actually be active through the whole lifetime. And just shortly about physical literacy, there is no consensus on this. Some people or some groups actually are speaking about 4 domains, others about 3 domains, and this is rather old concept from the social sciences, now also very interesting in nature sciences. But if I could explain you simply, you cannot imagine the child or even adult who will have a lifelong motivation for physical activity without having, this is called physical competence, and physical competence consists from physical fitness as well as skills, and these are interrelated. So you cannot acquire skills if you don't have a fitness on a certain level, and vice versa. You cannot actually develop fitness if you don't have some motor skills. And then this is not actually all the things that have to be done that somebody will practice physical activity in their leisure time and lifelong. You have to have some confidence on this. So this is the next component, it's an emotional component. And of course you have to have some knowledge. So some cognitive dimension is here, which is really important. And physical fitness is therefore incorporated in two domains. I already explained in physical domain, but also it's very well connected with cognitive domain, because as was actually established from our colleagues from Granada, kids who are fitter also have, let's say, bigger brains, and all the structures within cognitive functioning is functioning better. And I already said that physical literacy was rediscovered also by natural sciences like physiologists. This was published 3 years ago, and you can see on this picture that of course physical fitness is close to the health outcomes, but physical fitness of course arises from physical activity, and the physical activity is actually the outcome of physical literacy. So you can see here the correlation also now from this part of science. And now I'm passing to the model of feedback. So what is actually feedback? Feedback was first introduced in engineer science, because feedback is about confirming is everything okay or not. And when it comes to educational, feedback is actually information for learner, for confirmation about, let's say, where am I, to add maybe some knowledge, to reshape the current knowledge, etc. So the purpose of feedback is to reduce the discrepancies between the current understanding or performance and the desired goals. You can see here already that there is an association with the goals. And if you look at this third frame, you see that effective feedback answers to 3 questions. Where am I going? So to feed up. How am I going? Feed back. And where to next? Feed forward. So these are really important questions when it comes to feedback, not just only on individual level, but also when it comes to policy making. And next, each feedback question works at 4 levels, and these 4 levels are also important with the feedback with physical literacy journey. So probably you noticed that 2 decades ago, or 1 decade ago, it was one intensive debate about the physical fitness testing among the scholars. It was one expression called like if we are riding the dead horse, and so there is a part of researchers that actually believe that fitness testing can cause a lot of problems, and that it's not appropriate to use it. But I am not among them. I strongly believe that fitness testing with appropriate feedback information is really necessary to develop not just fitness but also physical literacy. Therefore, fitness testing should not be just one forceful assessment. We should provide the, let's say, safer environment for all the kids involved, And also we should know why we are measuring some tests and how to actually provide this information back, how we will provide the information about the scoring to the kids. And this is actually the point that I will make in next few slides. So for instance, also physical literacy is an interesting concept in original definition of physical literacy by Margaret Whitehead, narrow definition. She said there should be no benchmarking in physical literacy. But later on, she recognized that, that some feedback information actually should also exist, and there probably it's good to have some kind of comparing with, let's say, with the peers and others. I'm putting here the example. If we would not have some kind of feedback which actually is associated with comparing with peers, then we should not actually provide the right information to the students. For instance, we have here the one test which is measuring strength of the arms and hand grip. If we have students with the age of 12 having this test for 12, hanging for 12 seconds, and next year when he or she will be a year older for 13 seconds, we cannot assess if this is good or bad progress. But if we compare this with some normative data, then we can say, okay, this is well if we compare to peers. So that's why we have two different kind of feedback information. One is norm-based, and the second one is criteria reference-based feedback information. So in first one, student performance is compared with peers, and in the second one, with some absolute criteria. And I believe the best approach is to combine both of them. Why? Because both of them have some strengths and weaknesses. For instance, for norm-based, the strength is that you have a direct comparison results among different fitness tests and also between sexes. And you can also have a valuable information for those kids who are already reach the highest zone, so let's fit zone, which will be described later in criteria reference. And also, observing only raw values do not provide you relevant information due to different growth patterns. However, of course, there are major limitations which are let's say, weakness when it comes to the students with the low fitness. So this kind of testing tends to reward children who are already fit and can, with an appropriate testing environment, facilitate competitiveness, which is not actually good, and this also can result in negative attitudes among these students. On the other side, of course, a major strength of criteria reference is that it's not affected by changes in population. For instance, in norm-based references, if we look for, let's say, Britain or United States population, where fitness is lower compared to some European countries, maybe it's not good if you are on the average of population. Maybe this is actually the bad indicator. Therefore, it's better to have some criterion, let's say like health criterion, but it's really hard to set this cutoff scores for this criterion. And but major strength is also that this health risk or improved these cutoff points can be reached almost by every child. This is really important for those children who are less fit. Next, if we are setting this physical fitness in schools, it's really important how it will be implemented in classes. So therefore, of course, these results are meant to be for setting goals, individual as well as class goals, and therefore next for designing plan, exercise, track progress, and again having physical fitness assessment. So this is the let's say huge potential, and based on this we can then have this individualization also for students. For instance, this is from one of our school where children are actually providing or developing their own portfolio, thinking about the components of physical fitness that are necessary for performing different kind of skills in sports. So this is the way how to approach when developing physical literacy of these kids. Not just that there should be a testing, because every April in Slovenia we have this slow fit testing, but why this is important also when, for instance, here is from, I think, from volleyball. So why is it important to have some kind of, let's say, endurance or strength or power when it comes to volleyball skills? And when it comes to surveillance, of course, feedback is really important for policy making, because without having a proper picture where we are, we cannot set up goals, and we cannot actually also check if we improved or not. Therefore, feedback here is essential for policy making. So we have this circle also in policy making. So without proper feedback, we cannot have a policy implementation. And you can see here our case. So this is actually from slow fit, and you can observe here huge drop off in COVID years. Actually, we were the first in the world noticing this huge drop off and warning our government that they should actually intervene, because without intervention we will never reach the pre-COVID period. And actually yesterday was a media conference on this, because our ministry actually replied to our action with, not as we wanted to, but they will funded some more physical activity in our schools in the next school year. But we hope that we will reintroduce our national-wide intervention called Healthy Lifestyle, which was actually introduced in 2011 and up to 2018, and you can notice over there a huge actually improvement of fitness of our kids. But as I said, there are a lot of different situations in European countries. We have several national monitoring systems, like Slovenia, also in Portugal Fit Escola, in Hungary NetFit, and in Finland MOVE. And within the feedback network, we wanted to develop solutions which would be also useful for those who do not have such kind of monitoring systems. Therefore, we created the web platform on which PE teachers as well as coaches can enter the results of from Alpha Fit Battery for these core tests and get immediately feedback information which are not stored on this platform. So actually they are generated on the fly. And then on the other side, we actually also provided some important information for policymakers. I will come to that a little bit later. So, because I'm short of time, this is actually data entry. So there is interactive report showing immediately where somebody is within the European population, and also regards to these health risk zones. So, and there is a recommendation here, and as well as tips based on this, where we are placed within these zones. So we created the European fitness standards based on 8 million data points. This was also published this year or last year at the end of the year. So actually this is the scientific background when we are presenting the comparison with the European peers within this feedback application. And as I said, also there are some tips that were developed for all the fitness components. So if you are in red, yellow, or green zone, you also have a different kind of recommendations how to exercise next. You can also create a PDF report, or you can also download this report or send the link of this report to somebody. And you can also insert several kits and generate these reports. And currently we have a new project. We are upgrading especially this kind of report, so we will have also class report with more features presenting the fitness of class, which we already have, for instance, in SlowFit. So all the partners try to transfer the knowledge already generated within the national monitoring system. For instance, this was already presented by my colleague Juraka the morning. So we have a My SlowFit web-based application, of course, with all the data regulated with GDPR rules, and this is far much more complicated. But within this system, of course, every child has his or her longitudinal data, and this data can be accessible by parents, by PE teachers, and also by other persons granted access by parents. So this is all class and school reports within our system, but we are now preparing within feedback that the different similar reports will be also available. And from SlowFit we have also these individual reports. This shows the progress or development of kid through the years of schooling, and of course later on also in adult stage and elderly. So this the same components can be seen, let's say lifelong perspective. And of course there are also interactive reports, and already shown by Juraka, we have also some tools supported by artificial intelligence. For instance, we can predict the final height of our kids based on several data points of their development. And furthermore, we are also trying to include the data about 24-hour movement behavior. So nowadays they can actually complete one questionnaire on this, but we are now struggling within One Horizon project to insert data from smart devices, but this is not so easy to do. So I guess within 4 or 5 years we will have also this data within our database. And all this is actually connected with other features that we have. One of them is SlowFit advice. So if you have a low, for instance, endurance or strength, we have several advices how to improve this, as well as some other these contributions which are associated how to improve physical fitness as well as physical education. And of course, during the pandemic, we put a lot of effort, especially on this part, because like other European countries, we taught PE via web, so there was a lot of contributions over there. Let's keep to policy making. So for policy makers, we created so-called 10 steps how to design a physical fitness monitoring system. This is also translated in several languages. I forgot to tell you that feedback platform is already now in 5 languages, and now in satellite project we will develop translations in in total in 13 languages. So there will be more opportunities to use the platform for European teachers. Besides of this, we are also offering the feedback fitness map of Europe. So based on this data that we gathered, you can check where your country is in regards to, let's say, endurance. You can see Iceland is very good based on this. So you are very good. So you're not as bad as you think. we admire a lot of work that you do. So competitive sport is just one part. So there is also best practice described in Europe. So we have several practice, not maybe all on the national level, and this is very good described. So you can see what are actually the features besides of this. And of course, for Slovenia, we have really detailed information also for policymakers. For instance, you can see the fitness of these municipalities, of the regions in different components, and you can also observe the trends. So there is a lot of information for policymakers. And during the COVID, we also tried to push them a little bit with SlowFit barometer, introducing 11 measures that should be taken to increase the physical fitness, and we are still pushing them because we believe that more should be done. And besides of this, of course, we are promoting and communicating through social media. We have a feedback, we have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, we have a YouTube, and we are combining all these messages also to mainstream media. At the end, I would like to thank all the members of our national team, SlowFit team, and of course also international feedback team for all the efforts that we are putting to bring fitness monitoring close to from the bottom up, so to the PE teachers, as well as of course from the top-down approach to policy making. And worth to mention, we are open for new members of this feedback. There is no fee for membership. So if you are interested, you can contact us on this info mail. And we have several events, mostly by web. Next one, we have 2 events in May. One also together with Active Healthy Kids Global Alliance. So you can gain maybe some knowledge experience on this connecting with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Maybe I should start with the first question, because I'm well aware of your work for more than 2 decades.
40 years.
No, I mean you. I mean you. So basically, you are well aware of this program from the very first years of its implementation. Although you didn't participate, you were too young, I think.
Yeah.
In early 80s. It started in the early 80s with the systematic evaluation of physical fitness in Slovenian children. So, starting from back then until now, what should you highlight as the main obstacle throughout this process, which should be targeted if someone will try to do something like that, will join you?
Political will.
Yeah.
Political will is the most important. We are struggling every day with the political will. Also today. For instance, due to GDPR rules, we had some issues, and we highlighted this to our ministry, but already in 2011, but they did not act. And then this actually came to the also to the agenda of schools, and we had a drop off of high schools, of secondary schools, based on this, because all these governments are changing, people are changing over there, and there is a really there is a lot of difficulties to present people how this is important. So we have this in national legislation, in school legislation. Schools have to actually provide this data to students. However, if there are no support from the ministry, also with circulating some information, etc., schools are getting, let's say, lazy on this, or some schools, especially those who are not fit as they should be, are rather hiding this data.
Yeah, sure.
So I believe this willingness from the policymakers is really important.
Yeah, and I guess that it was so basically, if people intend to do something like that, they must be prepared for the obstacles from the political side.
And these obstacles are very well described in these 10 steps. Infographics, behind this infographic there is a paper, so there are case studies from countries that already implemented, so people can see how actually this was done in other countries, and also in this part of platform where best practices are described, there is a comparison table for all the monitoring system in Europe, so you can see different approaches from all the countries that were done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
More questions? Yeah, please.
It's really impressive. It's very nice project. I was very curious about that, and finally I learned a bit. I was just wondering, this is very important for the health system as well, because it's an indicator of the general health. In Slovenia, is this system also integrated into the health
No.
ministry or not? Like
No,
doctors can reach that? Or
Yeah, they can, but it's not integrated in e-health. We have an e-health, but our national institute, it's so rigid based to this, because we have several providers of this e-health system, so it's not incorporated, but of course doctors can be granted to have an access, but this is up to the parents. So parents actually manage the data. Parents can grant access to doctors, can grant access to coaches, so it's up to parents if they grant, and we have one special feature within the application that school can actually put over there the email address of school doctor and suggest parents that they can grant this, and therefore they have the opportunity to grant this access and also information about the school doctor.
Because also, actually, first, when I said I was more thinking about the elderly, you said that you also started for
Yes.
adults and elderly lately, and so when old person go to doctor, they might have multiple chronic problems, and like if you ask what's wrong with you, they will start talking about many problems. So they usually, what I see in clinical practice, they really ignore about physical activity, but physical activity for the elderly is highly correlated with the mortality. So it would be very nice to have this information.
I didn't go in details over there, but for elderly and also for adults, we have a special protocols. For instance, we have first screening, also before having motor tests, and so we have also information about possible health risk over there, and also within the same. This is also within the same application. So this. People can grant access to doctors, but in elderly there is also a problem that to have an account in My SlowFit application you have to have an email. So for elderly we have also this manual entry, so they can write their application, so we actually enter them into the application so they can not actually access their data via the app because they don't have access via their email, but they can see their reports by providers. For instance, if we as a faculty are providing them testing, they can see on screen, or we can print them the PDF. So this is a solution for elderly people, and they can also bring this or let's post this PDF report to the doctor. So at the end of these testing sessions with the elderly and also adults, we have also consulting. So when they are finishing the testing, then kinesiologists are consulting or advising them about the practicing, etc. And if necessary, we are also printing them the report, so they have this written report.
Thank you. More questions? Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much for the presentation and for the advertisement. So first of all, congratulations for the achievements. I would have a question. You have now shared your thoughts about the value of physical literacy, and you say that's about lifelong physical activities. And I would have a question. What you're doing actually is fitness measurement or monitoring.
Yes.
What are your current thoughts in order to maybe enrich your impressive fitness data with maybe knowledge, understanding, motivation, confidence? That's what you're talking about, the values.
Yeah. Thank you very much, because actually this is the topic of our satellite project, Feedback for Literacy. So within this we will create the toolkit. So we will prepare the several educational materials how we should use physical fitness monitoring to improve physical literacy. And I could have a separate lecture on this, but if you're interested, we already have a structure of this toolkit, because we will have a next meeting on this in 14 days in Granada. So we have already the quite picture what we will actually provide. So the idea is to provide, this will be interactive toolkit, so it will be associated also with this tool for entering the results. So there will be one more tool on the feedback, which will be physical literacy assessment tool. So probably we will develop the new one, because we are targeting adolescents. And when you will actually enter some score, you will have several options to also discover more about this, what is this important, and also some good practices from other teachers, which will be in video material, etc. So this is our idea.
So is then, sorry for the second question maybe, so your idea is to address the importance to the knowledge and value, for example, of fitness testing or for physically active lifestyle?
The main idea is to actually provide the message that fitness testing is important, but it should be actually conducted in the right manner. So we will provide also the information about how fitness testing should be organized. This is one question, because we want to break the stigma about the physical fitness testing. And then next, we will try to convey the message that monitoring is important, not testing. So, and this should be actually also a message for our kids, why we are actually measuring fitness, not just per se, that we will get some information, where are you, but to set the goals and have some kind of journey to the process of physical fitness. And within this journey, this is actually physical literacy journey connected also with the other domains. So of course, physical domain is just one of the domains of physical literacy. And if you are interested, I would gladly invite you to because we have this hybrid meeting, so to participate.
Maybe I can help you, Gregor. Johannes, actually Slovenia is already highly physically active population. They are third, I think, you are in third place in Europe when it comes to physical activity, and therefore lifelong physical activity is not a question in Slovenia. It's a common sense.
Yeah,
So basically, it's not probably not the main target right now because
it is. We are looking on Nordic countries because we believe that they are still before us on this. So.
Thank you. More questions? Okay, so we'll have a break until 3:30. Thank you once again for this.